I'm here with Maurizio from Lendlease. Maurizio, if you want to give us a background of the company, what you're doing, etc., please let us know.
Thank you. So I'm Maurizio Casubolo. I'm the head of operations and strategic finance at Lendlease in Milan. Lendlease is one of the major developers worldwide. We are a listed company at Sydney. We have a global footprint. Our history is a lot around urban regeneration and investment management activities, which is our most recent focus. In Milan, we have two major projects, both urban regeneration projects. One is Mind, which is the development of what has been formerly been the site where Expo happened about 10 years ago, now becoming an ecosystem for innovation, where we are putting together public research, private research, labs, startups, medium-sized company, professional, large companies, university, an hospital, and all that will create an ecosystem where innovation should really thrive. The second urban regeneration scheme is Milano Santa Giulia, that is more traditional urban regeneration destined to create a new place in Milan where it's targeted families with a strong bias toward well-being, leisure, and pleasure. And that is built around the new arena that will be built, which will also be a place where a number of Olympic events will happen. The third largest park in Milan, and then some retail open-air space with the strong leisure bias again, and 3,500 new houses, apartments.
How does the deployment of private capital coordinate with public administration actions and urban plannings for you guys?
Yeah. So I clearly, when you work on sizable schemes, as we are talking about, so it's in Milan is about 8 billion right now, which is a big amount, but
yes,
generally across every country, we focus on hub cities where we have really big projects. That is fundamentally a partnership with the public stakeholder. Okay. And so that's something that is normally work together because clearly you need to create, first of all, a vision, which is shared, and a mission for the area. Like, for example, mine, there is a very strong vision which is shared by the authorities of having the biggest innovation center in Italy located at mine. And clearly that is fundamental. And on that basis, clearly you can build all the other pieces. So I mentioned Mind as an example. Clearly, Lendlease is developing all the private areas, which is about 450,000 square meters. But there are a lot of very important public pieces over there, which is an hospital that actually is private, clearly is a public service, which is a research center, Human Technopole, which is a very advanced research center of the human genome, and that's a public anchor. And as an initiative of Lendlease, but under a project financing agreement, we have the Italia University that is moving to mind all the scientific faculties, and also is investing in substantial spaces linked to labs. And we believe that these things put together with labs and scientific campus that we are developing together with all the facilities that will be created. So student housing, housing for co-living, housing for rent, which we expect a very dynamic community in that area, will create a system. But clearly that vision requires a very strong support from public authorities. This is an example, but I could make the same example with different declination for every urban regeneration project that we have around the globe.
Great. And how is the need for redevelopment shaping flagship city spaces and new real estate projects? So when you're talking about these kind of refurbished redevelopment, how is impact in the real estate, and what is the future of that?
Yeah, I believe that first of all, that's a fundamental way to innovate in cities.
Okay.
So, because again, it's very difficult to work on buildings. I think what is really important is the placemaking, and the placemaking is requiring scale. You need to impact to create destination places. You need to impact on the community. You need to change the social dynamics of an area, and therefore, first of all, you need a vision, and again, and then you need a number of ingredients that are supporting that vision, and clearly, for example, connectivity is very important. Both our projects are extremely well connected with the underground and fast train and airports. So location is clearly very important. A number of other elements are very important, which are linked, for example, to sustainability. Our projects are clearly under the highest standard of sustainability. And that's not just about the buildings, it's also about the areas. So, for example, MSG, the first piece of development that we completed, which is the office district near to radio station, has been qualified as being neighbored, which is quite an example in Milan. So, I mean, that is part of the strategy. And I think ultimately, the all goes into stimulating an appetite and from investors, because clearly these big projects require capital. So I think one of the big enabling factor is being able to attract capital and therefore to provide solutions that create value financially and clearly also social.
You spoke a little bit about location, right? How does it impact when you're talking about sustainable projects? When did you choose prime location, secondary location? How do you define what is better or not for these specific kind of assets?
Yeah, okay. So I think there is not a unique answer, clearly. But again, I think location is a combination between the social texture and connectivity. So as Lendlease, we don't necessarily look at prime location, but we are more interested in transforming secondary location into prime location. Yeah. Because that is the way by which you create long-term value for investors. So you're not just investing on a building returning a yield, but you're investing in a building or in an area where you will keep creating value over time for many years.
Okay. And to what extent should the APBD is actually perceived as an opportunity rather than one more challenge in a very complex environment of urban regeneration? How do you feel about it?
Since ever, Lendlease has been very focused on sustainability and on social impact. So since our founder, we had this tension to be very well advanced. And early in the 70s, we were stating that large corps should not only deliver economic value, but should also deliver social values. And the two things can work very well together. So we are not subtracting something to others, but you are just adding things, right? So that is a positive outcome. And regulation about sustainability for us are absolutely a positive stimulus to create tension across real issues.
Okay.
So and by the way, also the capital market likes to have respect of sustainability standard, ESG, etc. And I think it's worth mentioning the fact that clearly now the authorities are putting some pressure, but as a company, we were willing to put ourselves threshold even before the regulator was doing that. So we a few years ago we decided we wanted to be net zero by 2025 and absolute zero by 2040, which is 10 years ahead than the general targets in the Paris Convention. Now, actually today we are reaching our target, which seemed impossible, but that is the demonstration that there are the instruments, the technology, the possibility to innovate, the capital that make it possible if we really wanted to achieve that target.
Great. My last question for you.
Sure.
What is the main challenge when you're talking about projects as mine, example, that you have like a mix and use urban regeneration side, and you're talking about many different assets, timing, construction, different players working with you. So what is the main challenge for that?
So clearly today we are living in a peculiar time for the real estate, where we were exposed to fundamental changes, especially in the capital market. So today, I think the big challenge is that these big projects requires a huge amount of capital for the development, and then also require a huge amount of capital for the takeover. And especially in Milan, where we don't have a strong domestic capital market, most of the capital comes from international investors. But clearly is now has become quite challenging. First of all, because in downturns, capital focus on the bigger places and location, and Milan, I believe, is not yet there. It's getting better, but it's not yet there. And the second, the nature of the capital strategies has been fundamentally changes. So investor today wants to have a shorter business plan. They want to invest in the risk of the project. They are very picky in terms of asset class. So when you have a big scheme where you have different pieces that needs to work together, you need to find a solution for each individual piece, and clearly with current capital market condition, that becomes much more a challenge. And that's why we are also as a company shifting a little bit our approach to the urban regeneration. So we are much more focused on the master developer role, so trying to keep consistency to the scheme, but we are working much more with the partnership in order to have, and sometimes even competitors, because there is nothing wrong with that, in having different partners developing individual pieces of a project, if that helps to achieve the global strategy of regeneration. And so that is something that we believe is the future of urban regeneration, at least in the current capital market conditions.
Great. Last question at all. For the ones who are coming to Italy, the new guys, what advice you should give for them to enter in the market, in the Italian market?
When you say new entrants, is about
investments,
is about investment,
investments and developers.
Yeah, I believe Italy is a place where there are really good opportunities.
I agree with that.
And especially because I think today we are, especially in Milan, but also in our city, very politically stable, and we're able to deliver things. And I also believe that the market is kind of undervalued compared to other markets, and in many cases returns are higher. So I think that again, it's maybe go beyond the Me Too strategy and try to be a little bit into understanding the deep dynamics and the value creation driver. And I think that would really change the market. And the other thing that I believe, and that's not just about Italy, it's just about investors in general. Real estate is very cyclical and has been very traditional, not very entrepreneurial in the approach to investment. It's kind of a tick in the box style investment. And that triggers the fact that an evolution in the thinking will create a lot of value. And I make you a very simple example of that. If we want to create value through a placemaking like mine, which is changing its face dramatically in a very short time, you don't want to have long-term constraint with long-term agreement or leases or whatever. So the proposition should be, at mine, we have to do leases no longer than, say, 3 years. I can say 2 or 5, whatever. You say a number, okay? But if you go to an investor, they will say, no. If it's not at least 12 years, that's not enough because it's too risky, which means that the investment is not really driven from a real understanding of the potential of the site, but is mostly driven for, okay, I need to measure the investment on the traditional metrics. But those metrics, in my view, in the current environment, are really penalizing the sector.
I agree with that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Good.
It was a pleasure.
The pleasure for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.